Hey, I'm straight up off the block, hopped in the phone and pushed the top back. I've been hustling for a long time and I can't stop that. Big like I'm that, best believe it, and them all back. Yeah, I be ballin' all the time, I'm point guard and a quarterback.
Welcome to another Sports and Culture Sports Media one-on-one interview. Today, I have a very, very special guest with me, which I'm going to get into shortly. But as first, we have to pay the bills. All of our women in sports previews and one-on-one interviews is brought to you by Rebecca Williams. Make sure you give her a call at 864-607-9765 for all of your free needs. You can get a free consultation from us. She is your neighborhood energy guide. Allow Rebecca to be your sunshine in the rain. And today is definitely be a perfect day for that. Again, give her a call or text at 864-607-9765. Make sure that you use the promo code Sports and Culture Sports Media. So today I have on the line with me, right in front of your face, extremely special guest from my family from North Greenville University. You see the gym in the background. The head coach of the women's basketball team, Kelvin Long Jr. Coach, thank you so much for joining me today.
Tyler, man, thank you so much. Glad to be here, man. Thank you for the opportunity to share today.
Oh, my pleasure, man. Again, in front of the public, guys, I know we're starting a little late. I apologize. We had some technical difficulties, still having a little technical difficulties on my end that I'm going to try to get adjusted. Let me bring this mic gain down some. That might help it. All right, so Coach, I want to go ahead and get everything started off, man. I always tell people I like to start off from the very beginning, where everybody kind of just kicked everything off in their career and childhood. Nevertheless, when you were, the longer Coach Long, what did you want to be growing up?
Man, I wanted to go to law school, and I wanted to be a sports agent. If you ever seen the movie Draft Day, Sean Combs, Diddy Combs, he was a sports agent. He had the number one pick in the draft. So that's what I wanted to be, man. I wanted to be that for the longest. I wanted to go practice law, get my JD, and then started representing players. So coaching wasn't ever a thing that was on the forefront of my mind. I wanted to get into the sport agency world and move from there.
Now I know with sports agency, of course, it's never ever too late to go back to school, and I always tell people that all the time. And honestly, I need to tell myself that if you decide to maybe stop coaching one day, is that something that maybe you would think going back into, going ahead and getting that degree and becoming an agent?
Possibly, but I'm so entrenched in what I'm doing now. I'm so locked in what we're doing in North Greenville now that I hadn't even thought about life away from the game. So that's kind of my focus at the moment.
Absolutely, totally understand. Now I know all coaches, it comes from that teaching type mentality. Like, what age did you realize you had a passion for helping others?
Man, it was right after college. I was working with this Nike boys travel team. So it was before the EYBL was what you see it is today. I was working with a high level program, and we had players to go all over the country to go play in college and play professionally. And I just loved it, man. I loved helping the young guys just kind of figure out their way, helping them get better, but also helping them grow as young men. And this was 2005, 2006. So fresh out of college, a couple years out of college. And man, that's when I fell in love with helping others and trying to help others reach their goals.
Absolutely. What's like the kind of the best gratification you get back from that, like from helping someone and watching them achieve one of the goals that they had set out for themselves?
Man, just the journey, just watching them move from when you get them to the finish line, and then even past the finish line, them growing up. I've got some guys on that travel team that still call me today. We'll still text. One of them is actually getting married soon. So just staying in their lives from the point when I met them up until now when they're doing life-changing things of their own. And so that's been the most gratifying and beautiful thing for me.
Absolutely. And again, guys, if you're not familiar, we're here with Kelvin Long Jr. He is the head basketball of the women's team at North Greenville University. So I know as a kid when I played sports, it kind of took me away from everything, like whatever struggles were going in my childhood or school, it mentally took me away. Like, was there any particular sport or activity that did that for yourself?
I mean, obviously the game of basketball, man. I remember. So it's like on Brown Sugar. When did you fall in love with hip hop? Right. Yeah. So the same kind of deal here, man. I was 10 years old, and you play in the neighborhood, but got a chance to play my first organized league with an organized team. And man, my very first coach, Mike Dobson, I mean, he just saw something in me, and the game just kind of it clicked. And I just loved it from the first time I was able to run up and down and just couldn't put the ball down. And so I didn't have any just amazing struggles to try to get my mind away or just try to get away from. But basketball was just poetry in motion for me. It was a beautiful game, and I just wanted to play it as much as I could, anytime I could.
Absolutely, man. And I just love asking coaches this question to see what their answer is going to be. What led you to become a coach? And like throughout that process, like what did you enjoy about it the most?
Coach just kind of, like I said, it just kind of fell to me. So I was helping a travel team, and it just kind of just clicked, and I loved it. I enjoyed it. And then, so I had spent 2 summers on they'll say the Nike circuit. So I spent 2 summers on the Nike circuit, and I just knew after that second summer, just seeing all the guys get better, just seeing who I ran into, who my paths crossed with, I just knew I wanted to coach then. So I was going to grad school, went to East Tennessee State in Johnson City, Tennessee. And there was a woman there by the name of Karen Kemp. She was the head women's basketball coach there. And I walked right into her office, man. Her door was standing wide open. I blew right past her, her secretary, her administrative assistant, walked right into her office. And I was like, look, I want to be around. I want to help as much as possible. I want to do anything so I could just be around. And she was so gracious to allow me an opportunity to be in her program, man. And man, it's been history ever since.
Now you're saying being in that Nike circuit back in the day, how differently is it from kind of when you first started around that Nike circuit to the way AAU is today?
Man, it's the same, but it's different at the same time. It's just so much more exposure. The players are just better. Everything is just ramped up. The events are well crafted. Nike has its own league, if you will, its own circuit, just like other shoe companies do. But it's more of an emphasis on growing the game and really broadening that base out, man. So it's changed. So it's been the same because basketball is the same. But the marketing, the branding, the exposure, man, that's just kind of just taking a life of its own from back in the early 2000s.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm trying to sneak into the AAU market just to check it out. I've never been to an AAU game, believe it or not.
Wow.
Everybody keep telling me, hey, that's the market you need to get into. But the more we grow as a company, definitely the more I'm going to tap into that, because it seems like a completely different world from the high school basketball game.
Absolutely. It's a totally different world. It's a totally different world. You've got characters from all over the place, all walks of life, with many different angles. So, yeah, man, if you ever get an opportunity, man, tap in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, no, that's in the future. It's definitely coming up.
Yeah.
Now, kind of a personal story with myself. I started my company after I covered like the Arkansas women's basketball team when they came to Greenville for the SEC tournament. and I just fell in love with the women's basketball game.
Mm-hmm.
But just from covering the sport and covering different teams on a high school level all the way up to the WNBA, I see a very lack of respect for the sport, especially from our male counterparts. As a head coach of a women's basketball team and being around these ladies, watching them grow, helping them grow, what can you say about the misconception of the women's basketball game that people just can't seem to get?
I think one of the biggest things that people might throw out there, guys, boring, just any of those synonyms that you want to use for that. It's nothing like that at all. Man, the skill level is incredible.
Yes.
The competitiveness is incredible. And then the attention to detail. So yeah, you don't have as many players playing above the rim. By the way, Sylvia Fowles just smashed one in the All-Star game. But by and large, you don't have people playing above the rim, and that's fine. But just the skill level, the competitiveness, and man, just the details in it. I think if people just kind of gave it more of a chance, and just sat and watched a high level game, man, you'd be hooked quickly.
Yeah, the fundamental of the women game to me is, and no offense, guys, but it's so much better. Like everything is so smooth and fluid. You can actually see the execution of a play because they're not based on pure athleticism, which is what I see in the men's game.
Sure.
And I think that's what I like about it the most. You can see the attention and the detail, the focus of the players, and the execution. And that's the part that I love about the women's game the most. And I think if more men actually sat and watched and paid attention, because a lot of men are very detail oriented, they would like the women's basketball game.
Sure, man. On the men's side, man, all you see a lot, by and large, is everybody playing off a ball screen or ISO or hero ball is what they call it now. But man, when you see different systems, you see ball movement, player movement, you see it going from one side to the other, getting to a third side, and you see a great shot or a great shot at the basket, man. It's a thing to watch.
Yeah, and I always use Arkansas as an example. They were an extremely small team, like didn't even really have a center. So they ran this style of offense that was really run and shoot, but it was completely spread out, and they was killing teams until they faced Mississippi State, who had like probably the biggest girl in the country. They fell up a little short, but it was a competitive. On the men's side, you would never really see that, but you are starting to see like teams play a lot more small ball. Golden State won a championship off of that.
Sure. Shout out to Mike Neighbors at the University of Arkansas. Mike is a friend of mine, and we talk a lot because our systems are a lot similar. Because they want to play in transition, they want to run, they want to spread you out, they want to shoot the three, and that's kind of the way we play as well. So we talk a lot about different things in our system. But yeah, man, when you see the spacing, you see the shooting, you see all those different things, man. And you see people that could play, like really play, man. It's poetry in motion.
Yeah, definitely shout out to Coach Neighbors, man. That was the first college coach that really gave us some pop, and now we're probably bigger in Arkansas than we are locally, which is incredible to me.
Wow.
Yesterday, for example, just to stick on the women's game, and you're watching the All-Star game currently. The WNBA All-Star activities were scheduled to be on ESPN, but it got bumped by tennis. So a lot of fans weren't even able to see the product. How can the media do a better job of showcasing these ladies' talents and, to make sure that if they're on the all-star level, the fans are going to be able to see it and not a tennis game?
Man, I would just say just paying attention, just really paying attention to the product. And I'll give you an example. When you watch the NBA draft, and that was a couple weeks ago, when you watch it, you see the details, you see the players, you see their name spelled correctly, you see their stats put up correctly. But going back to right after the season, the WNBA draft, yeah, it was on ESPN, which is a big step forward. Now it's on a major network, primetime ESPN. But now you getting names, not spelled correctly,
Yeah.
or different names with different faces. Just the attention to detail, man. That's just somebody that just didn't pay attention. So really just paying attention. And then like the NCAA tournament. Yeah, some of the games are on ESPN. You got the Final Four on ESPN. But what about the earlier rounds? So like on the guys' side, the earlier rounds are on TBS, TNT, True TV. They got 4 or 5 different outlets for it. But on the women's side, you got ESPN that's going to show South Carolina, Connecticut, the usual suspects. But then you got the other rounds or other schools and teams that are playing on ESPNU or ESPN Plus, and people don't have access really to that. Unless you've got that through your cable provider, it's not just on regular cable TV, so just things like that. I just think just paying attention to the product, and then diversifying. Everybody knows about Dawn Staley. Everybody knows about Gino Ariema, but there are other people who are doing some amazing things within the sport as well.
Absolutely. I 1000% agree with that. And I'm trying to, we're growing, but I'm doing as much as I can for the women's game, because the main reason why I started this company was to make a platform for women's sports. Because unfortunately, just like some of the bigger networks, it's getting put to the wayside. And I feel like not only is it fair, but I feel like a lot of people are missing out on the opportunity to see some really, really good basketball. The NCAA tournament, as you mentioned, the women's NCAA tournament is probably some of the best basketball you will ever see in your life. And that's compared to the WNBA. Like, I love watching the women's NCAA tournament. Incredible basketball.
Sure. So, man, the luxury we have living in Greenville are the first 2 rounds in the tournament are played at Bon Secours right downtown. Mm-hmm. And in my first couple of years, the SEC tournament was at Bon Secours. So, we've had a lot of high-level basketball right here in Greenville, man. So, it's been a treat to live in this area to have access to that. But, man, just people just paying attention to it, actually giving it a chance, just taking an allotted time just to really focus in on it. And I think you'll come away impressed, and you'll leave differently than when you showed up at the beginning.
Absolutely. Now, I know last year was kind of like the first full season for college basketball coming outside of COVID. But that COVID season, like, how difficult was it for you and the staff or even the team just to maneuver through that season?
Man, it was incredibly difficult. One day you're in, the next day you might be out. You're preparing for practice, and your trainer comes and tells you X, Y, and Z, they're out. Mm-hmm. So it was just incredibly difficult to maneuver and navigate through COVID, through those different challenges. Man, I remember on one occasion, we were getting ready to go to a game, and we were going to travel about 5 hours, getting ready, preparing all week for the game. We get a call. The game is going to be postponed. It's going to be canceled. And then the next day, the day before the game, it's back on. So now we've got to try to figure out like where we're going, how we're getting there. All that stuff was pretty cut and dry, but just getting your players back in that mind frame of like, all right, we're practicing, we're preparing. Now we're not. Now we're back on again. And I just think that was really a volley for our players, and really tough for them to kind of turn it on again, off again, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and that was kind of my follow-up question. Like, mentally, because all athletes get prepared for a certain day, a certain time of when and where it's going to go down. And if it's taken away and then turned right back on, what does that do to the mind of an athlete trying to get mentally prepared and psych yourself up for a game?
Yeah, man, it was tough, and I give our team a lot of credit because they fought through those different challenges, and they tried to stay as open and ready as possible. Even this past season, there was a stretch where we played games where we would have only 7 players. I mean, we had a roster of 16, but just with people in and out with COVID or contact tracing, that kind of thing. I mean, there were some games where we only had 7 and we could only play 7. So just the mental stamina our kids and other teams' kids had to, had to show. It was tough, but I think everybody learned a lot going through these last couple of years with COVID and the restrictions.
Yeah. Now, just from if anybody follows you on Facebook like I do, they can see the post. You are an extremely inspirational person and a man of faith. We see the blessed behind you. Who instilled that in you, and where exactly did that come from?
Man, just my upbringing. Mom was a single mom. We went to church. My grandmother was heavily involved in the church. My grandmother was, one of the lead ushers, and she attended the door for the house of the Lord, man. And so just my upbringing. Me, my sister, and my brother. My mom did an incredible job being a single mom. So just that whole thing, and just growing in my faith over the years. I remember working at Kennesaw State, and I was in a tough season in my life, and really just having to lean on faith, really having to tap in, and really finding another gear, another level in my faith to get past that time, man. And it's kind of propelled me to where I am today.
Yeah. Well, getting over those times, do you have any like best practices you can share for those that may be going through that time right now?
Man, so number one, prayer works. That's a go-to. And then I try to read and meditate to start my day. That's really how I try to get my day started, is spend some time, quiet time, devotional time, and then let my day flow from there. So if you're a person of faith or even not of faith, just find some time where you can just get by yourself, get with your thoughts. There is a higher power, Jesus Christ. And man, just tap in, and from there, man, he'll do the rest.
Love it, man. North Greenville University. That's how me and you met, because I consider them family.
Sure.
And I remember you asked how you can become part of our family, and I was like, sure, let's set it up.
Sure.
What has that experience been like for you, being part of that North Greenville family?
Man, so I had been a Division I assistant practically my entire career, and North Greenville gave me my first opportunity to be a head coach. And they've been A1 the entire time. Jan McDonald, who is the athletic director, she was the person I needed for my first opportunity to become a head coach. And from the first time me and my family stepped on campus, they've been classy. They've been A1. I work with some incredible people. Our sports administration, our athletic administration is incredible. The school's administration, Dr. Fant, Rich Grimm, they are incredible to work with, man. And I tell people all the time, people really don't know what we have until they come on campus. And I'm like, just get on campus, get on campus, get on campus. And once they see it and once they interact with the people, man, everybody falls in love with it. And that's what happened to me. I didn't know much about it. I know a little bit about it. Jamie Chadwell, who used to be the football coach there a few years back, him and I worked together when I was at Charleston Southern. And he told me a little bit about it. And man, once I got there and saw the people and saw what they were about, saw the spirit on campus, man, it's been an incredible journey my first 3 years.
With the campus, kind of to piggyback off of that, North Greenville just won a national championship with the baseball team.
Shout out Landon Powell.
What was the campus feeling after they came back as national champions?
Man, it was crazy. It was crazy. Everybody is so excited. Everybody is so tapped in, locked in. Landon Powell did an incredible job this year with his guys. And, man, they fought through so much adversity through the year, but they were super talented. And he'll tell you it's probably not his most talented team, but his most tapped in team. And that's really what you need from, from the guys that you're with or for the people that you work with. You may not be the most talented or whatever, but if you are locked in on the mission, you can get it done. But campus has been crazy. Right now, we don't have all of our students back on campus, but once everybody gets back and able to celebrate it, man, it's going to turn up on campus.
Now, I know coaching, man, that's a 24/7 job. It's a lot of wear and tear on you mentally and physically. How are you able to kind of step away and take off the coaching hat, and how much of a role does your family play into that?
Sure. So, man, my wife Sharon, hey baby, hope you're watching. She has been amazing for me. She has been a person to lean on outside of the whole coaching thing. And man, when I come home, this is my place of peace. And it's just been a joy just to see my family grow. And I didn't grow up with my dad. Grew up in a single parent household. So I wanted to make it a point to be a great husband, to be a great father. And I've got two amazing daughters. I'm a girl dad. Shout out to the girl dads. My oldest is 16, Nakaya, and then Jaya is 4 years old. And man, that's who I do it for. That's who I do it for. It's about them. And man, they allow me to be my best. And coaching, like you said, it could be a 24/7 kind of gig. So my wife is great about if I need to step away or if I need to take care of something. She'll say, "Babe, go ahead and do it." But typically, most nights I come home, check them out, see what they're doing. But past 9 o'clock, man, I'm off the phone. I'm not on the phone with recruits or coaches or whatever. I try to put the phone away and make sure, home is taken care of first.
Absolutely. She's definitely tapping in. We got a comment up on the screen now. She said hello. And kind of, final question here. What can everyone expect out of this upcoming season from North Greenville women's basketball?
Man, we're going to be fun to watch. You're going to come in, you're going to see a great spirit. You're going to see a team that loves each other. You're going to see a team that fights and strives together. We're going to have amazing energy. And you're just going to see a team when you leave a game, you're going to be inspired and say, man, I enjoyed watching them play because they play the right way and they play for one another.
Absolutely. Again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Those who have shared, thank you so much for sharing. Coach Kelvin, thank you for your time today and taking time out this Sunday. I greatly appreciate it.
Tyler, thank you so much for having me on, man. Love what you're doing. Keep up the great work, man. And if you ever need anything, let me know.
Oh, absolutely. Guys, this is Tyler Butler, another interview player spotlight with our head coach of the North Greenville University women's basketball team, Kelvin Long Jr. Thank you so much for tuning in. Expect another interview in the upcoming week or so as we get right back at it. Thank you again for tuning in. We're out.